All right, welcome to Buy Guys Crypto Show. The show is everything crypto. We are on top of our game, mania rules, caution rules. We play the fools for your viewing and listening pleasure. I'm Raff.
I'm Noah.
I'm Stu.
And we are on point tonight. 20% knowledge, 30% baloney, 50% hops and barley. Proceed accordingly. On that note, please, everybody listen up. This is very important. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. If you seek financial advice from a trio of Gen X beer guzzling old college fraternity bros on the internet, you are a moron. So, we're here for entertainment purposes only. We're going to have a lot of fun. The main goal here is simply to discuss crypto, have a good time, have a little contest, which you'll learn about shortly, and hopefully get some other people inspired to jump in what we think is a pretty exciting technological revolution. All right, so quick intros. We're going to go around the horn here and just talk briefly about who we are, how we got into the game. Keep it under a minute each if we can. I'll start. I'm Rafferty, live in Arlington, Virginia. Got in crypto in 2017, roughly, right on the early starts of the last bull run. Didn't know what I was doing. Had some colleagues that were into it on the early side. Saw my, small investments escalate and moon to a degree. Didn't cash anything out. Thought it was just going to, last forever. Watch it all tumble back down to earth. But that got me thinking, man, what is going on with this market and what's the future hold? So I dollar cost averaged over the next 3 years. I've got some decent positions. We'll talk about that shortly. But really, I'm fascinated by the technology and increasingly think there's a lot of opportunity here, not just for investors, but for real world application. It's pretty exciting, dynamic space. So that's my background. I guess I should also mention I'm a lawyer by training, but that, I'm not dispensing anything of value or legal advice in this channel for sure. Let's kick it over to my fraternity brother, same pledge class, Stewie Wilhelm Jeeves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one of my colleagues introduced me over a year ago into currency, and president of the company excluded. I consider this gentleman one of the minds that I interact with, and he'd been involved in cryptocurrency really for the better part of 4 years, and he kept pushing me to pursue and to research and kind of consider investing. So I took the plunge. I made my bones with Pundi X and XRP. And while, over the past year, my portfolio has diversified a bit, I still believe in XRP, the XRP army, and still hold that bag, nice little bag today. But what I have found is the energy, around crypto, it's just different. It's like Vegas, baby. It never, ever sleeps. And unlike, a lot of my more traditional investments, I guess, I can't say that I've ever woken up in the middle of the night, rolled over and checked on how my 401 or my Roth IRA is doing, like I do with my crypto holdings on Coinbase or Uphold or the 17 others that I might have it out there. But that's where I'm at with it, and it's just exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, baby. It's good time. Noah, talk to us.
Yeah, so my first thought was when I found out Stu was involved and who was never early to anything, I thought I had to get in. If you could do it, I could do it. I'm a latecomer to this. I just started about a month and a half ago. After some text exchanges with some old college friends, two of whom you see here on your screen, and in learning about cryptocurrency as a way to invest as a different type of asset. That's what drew me to it. I was interested in just learning about, you have gold, you have silver, you have real estate, you have the market. But cryptocurrency up until 3 months ago for me was just Bitcoin, like most people. And the more I learned about blockchain technology, the more I learned about what blockchain could offer in all of its different applications. Similar to Raff, I was really interested in the technology aspect of it. And oh, by the way, you can make some pretty amazing gains if you pick wisely. So in my full month invested in cryptocurrency, I've seen 50% declines, 40% increases in one day. It's absolutely crazy. It is exciting. It's interesting. It's fun. Most fun is just to talk to these two guys and be reconnected after many years. I live in West Virginia. I'm actually in the learning development sector in the corporate world and pharmaceuticals. So that's where I've spent most of my career. But enjoying learning more and more every single day. I'm very much still a novice, but learning from a couple of these guys and just everyday toils within the market. So yeah, it's been great. Looking forward to learning more.
Speaking of pharmaceuticals, I could use some of those after this past week, my friends. What a roller coaster. It was remarkable. We're going to talk a little bit about that later, but let's first take a quick round the horn look at our assets. Generally, every week we're just going to share with the audience the state of our holdings, and this is what you're looking at here, a pie chart. You can see I'm pretty heavy in Bitcoin. I got about 30% there. Next, followed up by looks like Ethereum, and then XRP, which I'm a long holder of all three of those. I started in 2017, 2018, dollar cost averaging, and they're all doing pretty well. I'm newer in the TEL and the VET and Tezos. I'm a little newer in those, although I did get on the ICO for Tezos when it first came out. And it was hampered by a lawsuit for a while. But the biggest position change for me is this TEL coin. We'll talk about that a little later too. It's a remarkable one. I'm really big on it. I got in and it's kind of like under a penny when I got in, and it pushed up to high as 5, but then it's kind of cratered like everything else. Anyway, that's a quick look at my holdings, and every week it'll be fun to see how those pie graphs change for sure. Now we can throw Stu's up here and see what he's got, and he's got got quite an interesting mix of stuff. Talk about that, Stu. What are you holding?
Well, the biggest horse in the stable, right, is the Cardano, and that's just fairly recent. I moved some things away from XRP. I'm still quite loyal to that army. Again, that's where I kind of got in, and I remain committed to their project. But again, the ADA and the XRP, that's clearly where I'm at. I've started to add some things recently, and looking at Polkadot a little more recently, as well as some Link and Algo. But those are things that are going to change. I would expect those percentages to shift a little bit over the coming weeks. We might see a little less heavy ADA and XRP, but I'm okay with where it's at right now. So.
It's looking good. You're all in the alts, baby. You don't, forget Bitcoin. You're already trying to pump it and make more. I love it.
Never heard of it.
Noah, you got a screen share on yours, maybe. Yeah.
You guys see that?
This guy's always showing us up, Stu. Look at this. The level of sophistication is just extreme.
Well, I have to make up for my poor choices so far, but here's kind of where I came in. I guess similar to Stu, he turned me on to XRP and obviously Raff with TEL. I would have not even known that existed without your recommendation to check it out. But I started out like most people do, big into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Actually, Cardano was my first purchase, and most of my holdings and earnings are actually in Cardano at this point. And then I went to a smattering of other DeFi projects like Polkadot and Chainlink, and have recently gotten into some Polygon, Matic, and those are smaller cap coins that I think over time will absolutely grow. But I'm trying to invest in projects. The hard thing for somebody starting out is knowing enough to be dangerous about each of these. And when you start out, you usually migrate to Ethereum, Cardano, and Bitcoin. But beyond that, it's kind of like the wild, wild west. So I'm trying to stay, for the most part, top 50 projects that are stable. Most of them are on Coinbase, and I think diversifying between altcoins and stable coins is kind of the next stage for me. But I'm still learning. So enjoying it so far. This is my portfolio. The biggest change from last week to this week is Polygon, and I did add another gem in there you may see called Zilliqa. Want to talk about sharding sometime? We can talk about Zilliqa, but that's a topic for another day.
I gotta say, I'm gonna take credit for both of your portfolios to get that TEL coin in there, boys. I appreciate that you're in the TEL army with me, because that is gonna moon big. Just wait, and then you're gonna, you're gonna owe me.
It's really interesting.
It is interesting. Actually, the utility is fascinating. We'll talk more about that later. All right. That brings us to the next segment of our show, news you can use. And not surprisingly, the newest entrant to this game, Noah, is responsible for supplying our content for this segment of the show. He's the most, I think, sophisticated investor of the three of us, even though he's only been in it for a couple months at this point, actually less than 2 months. So go to town. Tell us, Noah, what do we got what's some news we can use?
Yeah, so news this week, and kind of, Raff, to your point, when you're new and you're trying to learn, and I know we all are, but I'm really trying to sponge it in as much as possible in my spare time. Let me share. Give me a second here to get my screen shared. So you guys will probably see over time, I'll share a lot from the Wall Street Journal. I'm a fan of particularly their market pages, where it's pretty straightforward and incredible. But one thing I've noticed, if you can see my screen, I went to the Wall Street Journal this morning, and granted, there's been a lot of news with big declines just in the last few days. But you go to Wall Street Journal, the markets homepage, and if you can see my screen, these are all separate articles that reference explicitly the market. So you've got one on Beijing cracking down on the crypto markets. You've got one referencing Bitcoin edging up. You've got another talking about a new exchange aiming at Coinbase. And then a couple articles below. Bitcoin is useless, many will say, so what? And then inflation, this doesn't reference crypto directly, but anybody who is coming to the crypto space, myself included, typically comes because of fears of inflation, right? They're looking for places to put cash, to diversify, and it's next to gold, silver, metals, and land, maybe another way to invest. And so I thought that was a relevant one to highlight, just because it kind of hits the topic. So a lot more action on the Wall Street Journal market page around crypto, but one of the articles in particular I thought was kind of interesting. So move some things around here. Getting better at this over time. So there's an editorial written by Andy Kessler. It's more of a discussion between he and Mark Cuban. So everybody knows Cuban, Shark Tank, Dallas Mavericks owner. And the title of the editorial was Mark Cuban Knows Crypto. So obviously kind of an interesting read. And if you go down through the article, it's a series of email exchanges between Kessler and Cuban. And they're talking about the utility of cryptocurrencies. And when most people, myself included, when you think about crypto, the first place you think is Bitcoin. You think currency, you think investing, lots of volatility. You don't typically first think about utility, and how these things are going to be used and scaled across a variety of industries. So when you read down through this, who is often cited, when Elon Musk makes a comment and the market makes a huge shift, Cuban doesn't quite have that presence. Everybody knows who Mark Cuban is. So when he speaks, people listen. And his commentary on this was about NFTs and the utility of the NFT space. Beyond just
NFT is acronym for non-fungible token. I'm just going to throw that little nugget of brilliance at you.
Yeah, please jump in. You know way more about that than I do. But if you don't know, do you want to speak to that just for a second, Raff? Like, what is an NFT?
Listen, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, Noah. And thank you for teeing this up. This is awesome to see, because I don't read the Wall Street Journal regularly. I'm not smart enough to do that. I stick to the USA Today sports page. But mostly, as far as I understand it, NFT is a type of cryptocurrency asset that can assign property rights to a digital asset. So for the first time in human history, we can do this. And the way it's been described to me, I pick a lot of this up, listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, who just launched his own NFT project, VeeFriends. And I actually picked up a few of those bad boys the other day. We'll talk more later about that. The bottom line is, you can liken it to something like an art or a property right, a physical property right, like the Mona Lisa is one painting. It's on the wall in the Louvre, and it's there, and people see it. They take pictures of it. They put it on Facebook, or there might be forgeries of it out there somewhere. But there's only one true original Mona Lisa. It exists as a physical asset, so it's easy to understand the value of that property. In digital world, things are replicable to exact duplication, right? So it's harder to wrap your head around this notion of a property right in a digital asset, but NFTs enable that to occur. So someone like I know this article references NBA Top Shot, highlights from NBA footage, awesome slam dunks and different shot blocks and things like that. Little gifts of that can be owned as property rights. People buy them, and then the value of those can go up or down over time, just like any other asset, depending on the excitement of that team or that player or the historical moment that GIF represents or that image represents. This is just starting. We're just on the cutting edge of all this stuff, man. It's just getting started. And I think it's fascinating. And I think you're right to point it out. This is in the zeitgeist right now, man. Stu, what are your thoughts on all this?
For a guy like me, Raff, right? I mean, why should I get excited about that?
Let me throw this at you. Yeah.
What is it that should really?
So as I mentioned, there's a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V for short. He's like a successful entrepreneur, motivational speaker. I enjoy his content. I consume a lot of it, and he just launched an NFT project where he was selling about over 10,000 tokens, individual assets that are images, little doodles that he made, little characters that reflect his values, like Patience Pig and Humble Honeybee and things like that. And there's a whole scores and scores of them. Maybe even, hey, take Noah, if you could type in vfriends.com, you could pull it up on your screen there for me. Open a new window. We're really going high tech on episode 1 here, man. It's great. Oh, VEE Friends. That might be a bad site right there. I just don't know how this works. But yeah. That should work. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. All right. So you can look at all the friends and you can see this collection of sketches. If you scroll down a little bit, they're like playing cards, kind of like Pokemon or something. So I know Stu's like, what is this crap? What is this nonsense? Why do I care about this? Okay.
Why should I care? Why do I need to get excited?
I'm just say, first of all, for this particular project, it may or may not appeal to you, but if you buy one of these assets, you own that asset forever. And then it will maybe accrue or decline in value. I tend to think I'm bullish on Gary V. I think it's going to go up over time. He has a whole long-term strategy to build out the intellectual property of this, much like a Disney character. He wants to have a theme park. He wants to have cartoons. He wants to have stuffed animals. And so I could say I bought in on the ground floor some of the original assets of this property. Also, what he's doing, which is unique, he's changing the game. He's innovative. He's attached for each of these tokens an attendance right to go to his upcoming VCon, which is is going to be his namesake convention, much like a South by Southwest meets Davos meets Sundance, or all the big name conferences. He's going to pull one together, entrepreneurship, accountability, all the different values that he represents. He's going to have all sorts of big name speakers and celebrities. So I buy the asset. I get access for 3 years to VCon. After the first year, I can resell the token to someone who hasn't gone before. Maybe the price goes up 2 or 3 times, maybe 10 times. Most likely, I'm going to hold on to it. Okay, that's just my interest in the project. But back to your point, Stu, why do you care? Why should you care? This is where Gary V is fascinating, and I think he's a visionary. He says, and I believe, that within 3 to 5, maybe 10 years long term, all of your tickets for entertainment, so books, movies, sporting events, it's all going to be issued by an NFT. And if you have that ticket, you'll have a public page somewhere, much like we have a Facebook page or a Twitter account, that will represent all of your digital assets. And it's social currency. It tells the world something about you. You're a sports guy, Stu. You love the Mountaineers. Could you imagine if you had gone to see Major Harris's first game and you had that ticket from the 80s as an asset? Now, those can exist out there in a physical realm. You go on eBay and maybe buy a ticket like that. But in the digital realm, you'll be able to share it much more publicly. You can say, here's the evidence that I attended this game, and now it's the best game in history. We won this, we came back. It was an enormous success. You can imagine the value of those properties fluctuating, but more importantly, it's going to signal to the world something about you, about your interests and beliefs over time. If you aggregate all that stuff, you're going to be able to find others that share your similar interests, have similar passions. It's going to become a new form of social currency. That's why you should care about it. According to Gary V. Of course, I don't know, Stu, it's hard for you to make friends to begin with. I'm not sure there's any hope for you no matter what.
That's why I have you two. That's why I've settled on the two of you.
Are you sold on this? Or are you still skeptical?
I'm going to learn more. I need to learn more. Learn more about it.
So to me, learning more meant buying a few of these things and seeing what happens. They could tank. I basically dropped 2 ETH on 4 entry-level tokens, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of years. I'm not even sure I'm going to go to a VCon, frankly. I mean, I don't know where it's going to be held. I don't know the dates. He hasn't put any of that information out yet. But I'm intrigued enough by the idea. I think he's a first mover. I'm really confident that he's going to put this is his life's work. He's out there. He's made his play, and he said this is the next 40 years of his life promoting this intellectual property. And look at that. Who would not want a brilliant barb stuffed animal for their child?
Well, Noah, thanks for making the introduction here. Thanks for making.
So let me try to bring this.
For sure.
So this was a really dive down into the NFT application or use case, right? And I think Raff is going to be our NFT expert, I think. But Stu, going back to your point, where I think maybe this comes together and what Mark Cuban is speaking to, NFTs are just one application of smart contracts. So everybody knows Ethereum or has heard of Ethereum. And Ethereum is the blockchain foundation that's most widely being used for smart contracts. One of those applications is NFTs. You know, digital baseball cards. You have the Honus Wagner. There's only one. You have it in the digital space. It's not 1974 anymore. You can show and prove that you own that, and you don't need to, keep it in a plastic case and physically get it to somebody. You can transact it instantly to somebody while retaining the scarcity, while retaining all of its value in a 21st century medium. So that's one application. The others, and he references this below, I've seen some are using blockchain technologies for mortgages, titles. Some smart contracts, particularly on Ethereum, is an enormous game changer that every company will use. And one of the last comments that I thought was interesting. He doesn't really care what the price is. He knows the application blockchain is there and it's the future. So why I brought this up, for a couple of reasons, was that the Wall Street Journal had several articles referencing crypto just today. So it shows that there's some interest there from the mass, the general public. But the more interesting thing that I found, we're now starting this narrative and the discussion go from Bitcoin and currency and wild volatility and people thinking it's useless and it's just digital to things that are associated with Bitcoin cryptocurrency, which isn't just currency. It's the technology of blockchain and all of the use cases that go with that, which include things like our banking, our mortgages, the way we move assets and pay one another, to the way governments could be transacting with one another to give people the ability to hold value and a common truth that's undisputed across the globe. So that's kind of the excitement that I think that all of us are interested in. Yeah, I think we're interested in making some money, but I think the thing that keeps us here, Raff has probably kept you here in a month, but will keep me here is the utility of all of these projects. So I thought that this was a snapshot or an example of that coming from somebody that's, a prominent thinker, investor, and business person in the US.
Well, thanks a lot for teaming up our first ever News You Can Use segment. I thought that was fantastic. We're going to close it out with the running of the Moon Bulls. That's going to be a real fun one, I think, for all of us over the next, 10 weeks or so that we're committed to doing this show as our first season. But really quick, guys, I just want to take a quick peek at the score. The Pens and Isles are in game 5. And I hate to say this because they were up 2-1 when we started the show, but end of the third period, tied 2-2, headed to overtime. So let's try to wrap this game. Let's try to wrap this puppy up before overtime, and we'll hope to root for the Pens there. We are Penguin fans, in case anyone watching wonders. West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Western PA, it's all the same thing. So that's not all the same thing, but Anyway, running of the Moon Bulls. This is going to be a fun segment. The concept here is just to liven it up on a weekly basis. We started out, and frankly, this is actually our first official episode. We had a dry run last week. It was clumsy. Hard to believe that we could be any worse than this, right? But it was pretty clunky. And we threw down $50 each. I think that's what we did. I tried to erase last week entirely from my mind, frankly. We threw $50 each into an asset to start this contest, the running of the Moon Bulls. We kind of picked a horse or a Moon Bull, if you will, and we're going to see how far it goes. And then every week, for the next 10 weeks, we're going to add $25. We can keep doubling down on the same asset, or we can go for something safe, or we can go for something obscure. Bottom line is it's a contest, and week to week, we're going to see how these horses, I'm running out of steam here. We're going to see how far how we're doing relative to one another. And then the whole thing is that by the end of this, one of us will be declared the Moon Bull champion. We'll have to come up with a trophy or award of some kind. And then the others have to donate money to that individual's charity of choice. So we'll figure that all out as the show progresses, but that's the general gist of it. So I think Stu is in charge of this one, this segment of the show. And I know he's calculated the massive hemorrhaging of money that we all experienced just to bring people up. So remind us what did I take Origin token last week? I can't remember.
That's it. And based on your week one results, your investment has run out of a lot of steam as well, Rob. You came in, you bought Origin at about $1.19.
That's a bargain. That's a basement bargain, man. That's a great deal right there.
Bargain at this point. So I would encourage you to go after it again this week. But 2 minutes prior to this show, it came in at about 71 cents a share. So you're down almost $20 on the button. You're $30 on your $50 investment. So that's pretty strong. Not quite as impressive as my $35, my $50 investment of XRP. Again, just wanted to remain true to my roots, support the XRP army. And so I was able to get 33 shares of or tokens last week at about $1.50. Again, right before the show started, XRP had made some progress, got up to, it broke the dollar ceiling. It's at $1.05 now. So again, $35 where I'm setting. Jeff, the big winner of the week, he managed to only be down $10 on his original $50 investment into Cardano, the ADA that he bought at $24.43. Or he had 24 shares rather at $2.04 a share. It was at $1.65 right before we got going tonight. So he's at again $40. So $40, $35, and $30. That's kind of the order after week one. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm just going to, I guess, lead off here and tell you that, I'm amped to kind of take a new look at it. And I'm going to make some moves this week. And I'm going to take a different strategic approach, a little more quantity based this week. And so much so that I'm looking at 616 tokens of AMP to be exact. And so it is
that like is like an energy drink or something? What?
No. It's not that. It's part of kind of you need to do a little bit of research, Rob, because you're going to be looking up out of here soon as you're chasing this bull. But it makes credit card settlements instant and reduces the fees from typically 2 to 3%. They can get it down to less than 1%. And it's already being used in about 42,000 retailers out in the United States right now. So again, we referenced utility earlier on. I'll tell you that this AMP, it's got real world utility, real world applicability. And Stu just got 616 shares at about, I will say 3 cents a share. So I'm feeling pretty good about the quantity piece. Now we just need to come in behind it and get a little bit of movement here. So
I like the effort. I'm going to go for, I'm also going to make a what do we call this? We're going to call it a quantity play this time. Because, starting off with OGN, or I didn't really even know what I was getting into. I was going to get Cardano. I couldn't. It's kind of like, if you're on a date and the girl orders a type of food, you were going to order it, but you can't have the same meal. It would just be impolite. So last week, I wanted to get Cardano, but Noah snagged it first. So I went with the Origin. Clearly a mistake. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to get $25 worth of VET, V-Chain. This is a very, talk about real world application. This is being used presently. It's all about supply chain management of some kind, as far as I understand. I believe it was initially started as a V chain. It's Louis Vuitton, I think, has something to do with this. It relates to an effort to track the authenticity of high-end consumer products, but it could also be used in like the tracking of medicine and food. And I think it has some instances of real world tracking already happening. You can tell I'm really knowledgeable and deep on vet, but all I'm going to say is I got in on vet a couple months ago. It was like 1 or 2 pennies. Now it's up to 11 or 12. It was at a high about 25. And like everything else, it got slaughtered this past week, but I think it's making a comeback, and I'm going in $25 a vet. I'm buying it as soon as the show's over tonight, and I'll email you the actual count, Stu. And I'm going to be catching up with both of you guys really quick.
Yeah, I wish you good luck, but I'd be lying.
All right. Well, I feel bad for both of you because you will both lose week 2 as well, trying to go for big gains. And I'm going to stick with what I think are very safe, solid, proven, secure investments and projects. So I'm going to go with Polkadot. Actually thought about throwing something at Matic, which I know has made some major gains. It was up 100% today. I did buy some of it yesterday, but it doesn't qualify for the contest. But Polkadot is my investment for week 2. So I'm going to put 25 on Polkadot. I'm also going to buy it right as the show ends. It looks like it's just under $23. And Polkadot's an interesting project as I've learned more. It basically takes blockchain and helps them to communicate with one another off of the Ethereum network, if I understand that right. So it helps to scale it do something amazing beyond Ethereum and what it can do, and it's largely going to be used for commercial projects. So it's a top 10 Coinbase, so it's right in my wheelhouse.
All right, so as we wrap up the first show here, let's also make sure we're clear on the rules. How does the running of the Moon Bulls work? So we already went for $50 and we all lost, and clearly that we're gonna have to recover a lot the coming weeks ahead. I have no doubt that we will. And then the subsequent week, we spend $25. We're going to announce our purchases on this show. The question is, and I think Noah was trying to pull a fast one on us, Stu. He scooped up some bargain, but he went gutter diving yesterday, and like, what did you get? You were like pumped up. You're like, hey guys, he texted us. He's like, hey guys, can the Moon Bulls game start on Sunday night? Because I just picked up some winners or something.
I got a little bit of that yesterday. It was dirt cheap. It's 7 cents. It would have been an amazing deal today. I think it's up to an 11 cent. It's gone up, 25, 30%. And then I bought a fair amount of Matic yesterday at 2 different times. And both of those initial purchases were $25. So that if you guys allowed them to count, I would have added them into the contest. But clearly, we're not going to allow that to happen. So I would have ran away with it week 2. It's not interesting for the show. So for the sake of the show and for the audience, I think it's more compelling to not include those investments, and we'll just go with,
We already spotted you.
I'm glad you referenced the audience. All 3 folks that are going to be getting it this week. It's going to just be a matter of minutes before I become the people's choice. I want to be the people's champion. That's kind of my approach. So I'm going to throw it out there that when all 4 viewers get this, feel free to message me. Give me some recommendations. I'll go with it. Because listening to Raff, listening to Noah, it's not gotten me real far. So again, I'm going to make it. I want to represent you, the viewers out there, all 4 of you. Send it to me. I'll put my $25 in it, and we'll go with it.
All right, that's a bold claim, and we'll see if anyone responds. We're going to have a fun time. We've committed to doing this for about 10 weeks, maybe 9 weeks. It depends on summer vacations and other things. We're going to give it a shot. Look. There's never been a better time to get in crypto. It was a brutal week, but that's what it's all about, man. This is the nature of the market. It's volatile. If you can't handle it, just find something else to do. we're going to have a good time no matter what. I'm really am excited to see what happens. I think the bull run is still underway. I think we're going to see new all-time highs during the course of this show, and we're going to build off that momentum, and then it's all going to collapse at some point. We're going to regret our lives very much. So anyway, that's just a preview of season 1 potentially. Otherwise, it's great having everyone here for episode 1 of Buy Guys. That's what we do. We buy. It's like lottery. You got to play to win, but in crypto, you got to buy to fly to the moon, baby. Until next week, take it easy.